This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Trying to indoctrinate Matt Youmans into Angels, the Church of the Anaheim Angels, as Kyron Paris is doing it again here today. He is 1 for 2. He has scored a run. He's driven in 2, drove in those 2 via a home run today, I believe. Excuse me, a 3-run shot. So Kyron Paris doing it again, comes into today with a .444 batting average with 2 homers and 4 RBI and an OPS of nearly 1,500. Angels offense might be okay, my friend.
Might be okay. I mean, that's a lot of hype, JBT. Might be okay.
I don't want to be too excited. We have seen this play out before, and then everybody's going to pull hamstrings and be awful, and then the Salt Lake Bees will be playing.
Yeah, I've seen it.
By the time we get to June. So
almost every year.
That's why I keep measuring my expectations with might be okay or okay. Again, I think they're capable of going over this win total, as my bet says, but offense is sneaky solid.
Okay, sneaky solid.
That's a good way to put it, right?
Okay, that's good.
Sneaky solid. I mean, look, Cleveland just went out there and learned. They played a 10 against them on Saturday, and they ended up winning the series. So it's a pretty okay team.
A pretty okay team. All right.
I refuse to go any further.
Right now in baseball, how about tonight? Paul Skeens roughed up by the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah.
6 innings, 5 earned runs tonight. He did throw 98 pitches, and the Cardinals up 5-1 on the Pirates in the middle of the ninth. And how about the Dodgers getting roughed up again? They're going to lose 4 out of 5.
Yep, top of the 8th inning. Washington up 8-2 right now. 2 outs there, too. So looks like we might be heading to the bottom of the 8th inning very quickly here. But a very good performance for the Washington Nationals, and losers of 4 out of 5, as you mentioned, for the Los Angeles Dodgers. A team many thought could go 162-0.
So some thought that.
Yeah.
There were some who wrote that.
Don't know if you were going to be willing to go against it. That's for sure. Should also point out here the Red Sox getting roughed up a bit themselves. Top of the 8th inning, Garrett Crochet today, 5 2/3, 5 hits, struck out 5, walked 4, but charged with just 1 of the 4 runs that he gave up. And this Red Sox team is right now floating around 500. Again, plenty of time left, but everybody's darling heading into the year. And did look every bit of that team during their 5-game winning streak heading into the series opener with the Blue Jays, but on the verge of losing this second one and their second straight loss on the horizon.
White Sox continue to thrill their fans with a shutout loss tonight. The White Sox had 2 hits.
I mean, I just look at a very tight game that anybody could have won the entire time.
That's true.
Yeah,
they did have a chance to win it. Yeah. But you got to need more than 2 hits and 0 runs to win a game.
That's a very fair criticism.
Yankees also got shut out on 6 hits. How about those torpedo bats who were taking MLB by storm? The Yankees have been held to a total of 2 runs in the last 2 games.
You know how ridiculous that story was? So first off, sports books were putting together the list of here are the guys that use the torpedo bats in their home run odds. I play daily fantasy. On the fantasy site, the guys that use torpedo bats have a special little symbol next to them, so you know that they have torpedo. It's ridiculous. I don't think it's that big of a deal, as we have seen now up to this point. It's not the big of a difference maker. We will see if over the larger sample size something is to come of that. Speaking of larger sample sizes, the game later tonight in Major League Baseball, since we're on the topic, I think you, I, and the rest of the betting community are very interested in, are the Padres on the road in Sacramento to take on the Athletics? Because Sutter Health Park so far has been a very high-scoring arena for these baseball teams. Talked about this earlier. An average 13.25 runs per game over there in Sacramento. Now,
last night, barely got over the total last night.
Yes.
It was total was 8.5, and there were 9 runs scored in that 5-4 game last night.
But the over is cashed in every single one of these games out there in Sacramento. Again, only 4 contests, but this is going to be interesting to see if the market really, you kind of pointed this out to an extent. We haven't really seen a big adjustment. It's been holding strong at this 8.5 run or 8.5 total for these games.
Yeah, it's 8 tonight.
So I think if you're somebody that believes this is really an actual deal, that this park is going to be somewhere where offenses can come in and erupt, well, you're getting a low number here tonight. 74-64, OKC up by 10.
Offense is erupting. How about this? Geez, OKC 74 points with 2 minutes to go in the first half tonight. 10 of 18 from 3.
I think I might be cooked on this.
Matt Shrewsbury, who is in Sacramento tonight with a weather report, calls in and says 71 degrees at first pitch. So,
now cloud in the sky.
He didn't say that part, but he said 71 degrees. So there are going to be plenty of nights where I think these games or even days where these games are going to be played in the 80s and 90s in terms of temperature. And the ball's really going to carry, and that's when you're expecting this to be an over park, right? High scoring. Tonight, maybe a little on the cool side, and the ball's not going to carry as far. It's something to watch, though, because I know a lot of handicappers are looking to play over in these games in Sacramento.
Yep. We'll be watching later this evening. $1.25 price tag in favor of San Diego with a total of plus 112. One of two games later this evening, actually three we have in the late window, we'll call it. We also do have first pitches for Houston and Seattle and Cincinnati and San Francisco. Houston-Seattle is actually pretty interesting. Framber Valdez versus Luis Castillo, two great pitchers on the mound for two teams that have really been struggling for the most part. Houston ended up getting a series win over the Twins and got that thing late over Minnesota. High-scoring series for the most part there, but they went out and lost the opener to Seattle. So very interested to see what the bounce back is here for two teams that have been off to pretty rough starts. Current prices right now for this, $1.28 thereabouts for the Mariners with a total of 7 tonight, shaded to the under. Two offenses that have been struggling and two great pitchers. I'm sure this will be like 7 to 8.
7 to 8 or 8 to 7?
8 to 7, 7 to 8. What's the difference?
Typically, you like to say the higher score first.
Typically. I'm not a typical person.
The Mariners' offense.
Beat of my own drum.
The Mariners off last night's 3-4 win against Houston.
Yeah. Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay.
I like that. I like the sound of that. We should get that started.
Actually, I was watching the game the other day. Seattle erupted for 9 runs in that game at San Francisco.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, that's atypical of what this offense. Yeah, it's atypical of what this offense has done here early in the season. But
offense stinks.
It looks like it's not going to be too
I don't
good.
know how, if like you're that front office, I don't know how, if they again fail to make the postseason, you fire everybody. How are you continuing to squander what could be the best pitching staff in baseball with a lineup that goes out there and does absolutely nothing on a consistent basis? And then just sit there and go, that's fine. Our guys will get us through. We're good. It's such a waste at the top. I can't believe that it's something I watch almost every night.
Angels?
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Hey, at least the team stinks. They have an excuse.
Had 2 of the top 5 players in baseball and couldn't put up a winning record.
We don't need to talk about that.
How about the OKC Thunder up 10, 80-70 on the Lakers with 23 seconds left in the half. Now, how optimistic are you the Lakers are going to hang in this game? They're starting to fade a little bit here.
They are starting to fade a bit. I would say that I am not optimistic that they can. Shea misses the free throw, so LeBron has a chance to answer. And let's see. 6 was the first half spread, so you're going to be safe here if you're talking about the first half number for OKC. Unless he hits a 3 and is fouled. Math would tell you if he hits that free throw, that's a 4-point play, Matt. That's not going to be the case, though. All right, 3.5 seconds left to go. LeBron is fouled.
You knew something was going to happen.
No, I wasn't pulling a Matt. I wasn't pulling a Matt Youmans and watching the game through the live odds, which is like 2 minutes ahead.
Last night we ended the show. We had to watch the last 2 minutes of the Houston-Florida game.
You were
at
dying.
The Mega Bar out here. I could not watch the live betting screen, so I didn't know what was going to happen before it actually happened.
You had to live like a human and like live in the moment, like the rest of us.
We're going to talk about it, I think, after the break here and recap the final standings of the Circuit College Hoops Challenge. But I can't believe what happened on the final possession last night for Houston.
See, that's if you were watching it through the lens of live betting, you would just see that they lost. You would not have seen the fact that they failed to get a shot off.
Well, I would have seen it because we'd be watching it on TV too. I would just know it happened before it happened on TV. How about let's talk about the big upset still brewing in the association tonight. Washington Wizards up 90-89 on the Pacers with just over 3 minutes to go. And what did you say the closing number was here?
19. Some spots had 19.5.
Would that be the biggest upset of the season?
I think it would be
NBA?
I think it'd be on par. I'll have to go back and look.
There's been a couple close to that.
There was
right?
one that immediately sticks out. The Celtics were playing the Hawks when the Hawks did not have anybody.
I thought that was like 17 or 18.
That's what I'm saying. It's in the range of that. I will get the exact number for that one.
The Warriors actually lost to the Nuggets one night.
They were only 13-point favorites, if I remember correctly.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't think it would be on par with that. But that Celtics-Hawks game, I think, immediately comes to mind as what would be a upset that was on par. And I think to this point, to this day, that's the largest upset. Double check what this one was, because that was probably the one that is what I'm talking about.
All right, so react to this this quote from Spittin' Mad Christmas Sarah as part of the Circuit College Hoops Challenge, and obviously an NBA bettor. Here it is, quote, OKC ain't winning bleep. I know this game has zero impact on seeding, but you don't go down 30 points at home versus LeBron and Luka. Nice effort. Pathetic.
What?
So OKC ain't winning crap. I assume you disagree with that. That was his comments. Those were his comments during the Sunday game when the Lakers beat the Thunder by 27.
What's wrong with losing the game to LeBron?
They're down 30 at home.
Not that bad.
Pathetic.
I mean, at some point he's going to rule out every team, and nobody's going to win an NBA Finals. The Western Conference remains and will be, until they are eliminated, which will not happen, the Oklahoma City Thunder Invitational. They're the favorites to win it for a reason. Some spots are about $1.30 favorite, like minus 130.
In fact, the Thunder got knocked out last year by Luka.
Yes, they did, and that was rough shooting variance. I mean, they could not hit water falling out of the boat. And as I like to say, P.J. Washington turned into Ray Allen for about 4 games, and it was absolutely insane. Edge Boost, the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums, earn cashback rewards, 100% approval for all betting deposits as well. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code PRIME. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. That is edgeboost.bet. I will have the answer to your question, the biggest upset in the NBA this season. And we will have the closing seconds of Pacers Wizards.
Tie ball game.
Washington pull it off as a 19-point underdog.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Indiana Pacers start to pull away, finally, in the final seconds here of this game. They are up by 6 with 44 seconds left to go. Big 3 for Indiana right there before the break from Miles Turner makes it a 100-94 game with less than a minute left to go. So we were going back and looking. Looks like the Wizards probably won't pull off the upset here as 19-point underdogs, although they pushed Indiana throughout that entire game. So I went back and looked. The game that I was referring to, it's so weird how memory works. I could have sworn the game that I was referencing happened in like February. It happened in November. Yeah. It was actually an NBA Cup game. It was one of the first NBA Cup group games for Atlanta.
Oh, I recall that.
But Boston was at home in an NBA Cup game in group play. They closed as 16-point favorites at home over Atlanta. Hawks were plus 950 on the money line, and they won that game outright. That is, to my memory and from what I can find, the biggest upset of the season. We also have last week where I think you give this a little bit more credence just because this was a team that was on the road, even though, again, from a money line standpoint, it's not going to be there. But Sacramento on the road was a 13.5-point favorite. You were getting 6-1 on Washington last week. They won that game outright as well. So biggest upset by a money line price, Hawks on the road against the Celtics plus 950, the one that I could find.
All right, your reaction to what Chris Massaro said about the OKC Thunder ain't winning bleep.
I mean, I would obviously disagree. I think vast majority of people would disagree with the sentiment there. I understand.
You saying he was emotional?
It might be. I mean, I don't know about you, Matt. I do have some occasional, you know me well. There are some times where I think a little bit outside the box. I'm a little weird with the things that I say and believe. Having said that, I'm going to go with the 73 other games of data that would tell me that Oklahoma City is the best team in the Western Conference.
Okay.
Outside of the one. I don't know. It might be a crazy thought, but I'll go with the 73 contests of data that tells me OKC is a dominant force in the Western Conference. All
right, so you're not going to buy into OKC ain't winning bleep.
No, but what happens if they blow them out in the second half here tonight? By the way, it's at half, 80-72 the score, 65% from the field for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Lakers have calmed down. They are 54%.
How many points per possession do the Thunder have right now?
I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
I don't know whether to say this Lakers defensive effort is a joke or OKC's just incredibly efficient offensively.
Let's see.
Lakers have allowed 20 points off turnovers here in the first half. So it's been a pretty sloppy
Would you care to guess ballpark what the OKC offensive rating is tonight? You can do it on the scale of 100.
I was trying to guess points per possession.
Yeah. Or points per 100 possessions, same thing.
105.
163.3.
Is it really?
Yep. 163.3. Their offensive rating here tonight would rank at the 100th percentile, obviously. Lakers, nothing to really sneeze at here.
It's impossible to get that high.
146.9, the offensive rating for the Los Angeles Lakers. Absolutely nuts. Now, the big thing carrying the Lakers, let me get the actual total here. Lakers, big difference. This might surprise you. 15 free throw attempts. They've made 13 of them. So they have that in comparison to just 3 of 6 from the stripe for the OKC Thunder. So the free throw rate for OKC, for the Los Angeles Lakers is really carrying this. The other thing, and this is going to be something to watch in the second half, turnover battle, very much in favor of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think I can go the smaller number here first. 3 turnovers to just to 11 for the Los Angeles Lakers in the first half. They have turned it over quality of possession-wise or quantity of possession-wise on nearly a quarter of their possessions, 24.5% turnover rate.
OKC has 20 points off those 11 turnovers. It's final in Indiana. Pacers 104, Wizards 98.
Woo, let's do it.
So you don't have the major upset tonight.
And you know what that means?
That means the Wizards are under their season win total for you, but not yet for Tim Murray, right?
Who cares about Tim? There we go. So with that, all of my win totals are in the books in terms of actual bets. I still have the win total contest, but all of my win totals are in the books.
All wins?
Yep. No, 4-1 on the 5 win totals. So the one loss on the win total was the one win total I recommended to Paul Bovey. It was the Charlotte Hornets going over 30.5. They did not come close.
Did Paul bet that?
He did. But Nuggets under, Warriors, Thunder, both over, and the Washington Wizards under make for a 4-1 record on the preseason win total bets for me.
Nice job by you. By the way, Paul Bovey, pro bettor, is at the Magic game tonight.
Everybody's all up about the Southeastern
I thought he was at the Knicks game. He's at the Magic game.
What other game would he be at?
The attraction of the Southeast Division race is too much for him to resist.
I mean, you're even watching it. It's not even up on any of our screens anymore. I'm watching it on my laptop. See? I told you. Betting community is all a titter about it.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
All a Twitter? All a titter?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Let's take a look at the Circuit College Hoops Challenge standings. How about that?
Let's put it to bed.
It's over.
Rough finish for your boy.
Paul Stone, the winner, 30-19-1 against the spread, 8-1-1 on the best bets. How about that? Nice job, Paul.
Another round of applause for Paul. Good job, Paul, if you're listening.
Second place, by virtue of the third tiebreaker, Tim Murray.
What was the third tiebreaker?
Most wins.
Most
winning play. Okay. So we went with the Final Four national championship picks for the first tiebreaker. Second tiebreaker was most best bet points.
Okay.
Tie again. Third tiebreaker, most winning plays. Tim Murray, 27-22-1. Aaron Moore, 26-21-3. Nice. So we had to go to the third tiebreaker to get Tim the $200 gift card to Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Bar on West Charleston, where I'm going to be with Wes Reynolds on Wednesday. We're going to be talking Masters on the Jim Feist handicapping show at a Dom DeMarco's Wednesday. Tommy Canale out there as well. So Paul Stone, Tim Murray, Aaron Moore, top 3. Ken Thompson sneaks in there in the 4th spot. How about KT? JVT 5. Will Hill 6. I finished 7, 26-23-1, 5-4-1 on the best bets. David Deneen, right behind me in number 8, at the defending champ, David Deneen. I believe his best bets record would be, 5-5, not 5-1.
Correct.
Ron Boyles, Chris Becerro, Greg Hoops Peterson, Wes Reynolds, Eli Herskovich, Bobby Buckets Brubeck, and Jim Root round out the field of 15 handicappers. I believe we finished 364 and 346. Right around,
51%?
I think it was just over 51%. This is not great, but could have been worse. We had one really bad week 4, before we got to the NCAA tournament. And other than that, I think the contest is pretty solid. I know that there was somebody on Twitter said coin flippers. But you know what? We've got, let's see, right there, I'm going to say 10 of the 15 handicappers at 50% or better. And we got a couple records down there at the bottom, dragging it down a little bit. Yeah, you always want to post much better records and something like this, but it's not easy. These college basketball handicapping contests are not easy to beat.
Nope. And had a lot of fun doing it for the first time.
Nice job by you. 26, 22, and 2.
For a first-year showing, I will take 54%. I was in second, and I finished fourth. No, fifth.
It's kind of like the blackjack contest, huh?
We need to remind me of that one, huh?
Last hand, you went for it all?
No,
you tried to finish second, right? Or tried to win it?
I tried to win. I tried to get it.
And you dropped to, what, fifth?
Yeah. You know, I walked in today, and Mitch Moss like, oh, yeah, no, Wednesday. I'll have
the money for you?
I'll have 5% for you on Wednesday, and don't worry about it. I was like, all right.
I think he's good for it.
I know where to find you.
Mitch is good for it.
I know where to find you.
Some other people, you never know. Mitch is good for it. You don't have to sweat that out.
No, that's very true. A lot of horror stories about a lot of people I know not making good on quite a few of their debts. You can't do that. All right. With that, we are back underway here in the second half. So the question here between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, does the offense continue? In-game number right now, total-wise, I remember I have under 259.5. Total's 267.5. And the Lakers are going to come out and get a bucket almost immediately. So this is going to be 80-74 here in a matter of seconds between these two teams. I think I got a loser.
On the total?
Yeah.
On the live total?
Yes.
Well, I mean, the game could die. You know, last week we were talking about a Warriors game that got off to an incredibly hot pace against the Nuggets.
That's a good point.
And I think it actually landed on 222. You know, at one point in that game last week, the live total reached 262, and the game landed 222. Think about that, 40 points under the live total.
Yep.
Remember that Warriors game we talked about a week ago?
Yeah, of course.
I think it was Nuggets Warriors, right?
I thought it was. Oh, yes, yeah. I was thinking of the Grizzlies Warriors game. That ended up going over. But yes, that game
was something like 115, 107
yep,
or
got
something.
Off to a really hot start, and we saw that eventually die. So 80-74, empty possession for the Thunder. So the Lakers, trying to cut this thing down to a couple of possessions between them and OKC. All right. With that, folks, the VSiN Watch app is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't signed up for it yet, check it out. It's out in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Not only can you watch and listen, but you can search by content as well. VSiN Watch app is absolutely incredible. So check it out now. App Store, Google Play. It is available for you and your VSiN Pro subscription. Just log in.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
82-74, Thunder trying to keep the Lakers away. They're maintaining about their 8 to 6 point lead, depending on the time of the match. 10:20 left to go in the third quarter. Thunder trying to exact a bit of revenge as 9-point favorites. We'll keep our eye on that throughout the program, as we always do, but we head out to the Progressive guest line to welcome in our next guest, Chris Powers. Nice enough to give us some time here today, staff writer over at Golf Digest. And I assume we're bringing you in to talk about the NBA tonight. Is there anything going on in golf this week?
We were going to talk about the Wizards-Pacers game with you. You got 5 minutes for that?
I can do some NHL. That's one of my areas of expertise. I don't know about NBA.
All right. So, Chris, of course, the azaleas are in full bloom, and we are going to be out there, at least in spirit, at Augusta to watch the Masters. So we've talked to, it's our theme today. You're our fourth guest to break this all down. So I'm curious, just as you look at this, course history, recent form, what are the things you weigh and you value heading into the Masters?
All of it. And this is the classic paralysis by analysis week, especially for those of us who constantly scroll social media. You'll see a million trends and systems and models. And so I take it all into account. I do like recent form. I specifically like recent form in the majors, which you do have to go back to last year for that. But I do think recent form in those majors kind of portends to, something big coming for certain guys. So I'm looking at that quite a bit. I do love, of course, you got to have a little recent history at Augusta National or long-term history as well. So I'll weigh that as well. And then approach play and around the green play, I think, are the two major keys here every year.
All right, so who are the top 4 or 5 guys when you focus in on all those main areas? Who are, let's see, 4 or 5 guys that you really like in this tournament?
Well, speaking about approach play around the green play, the 2 guys I love this week are 2 Georgia Bulldogs, Russell Henley and Sepp Straka.
Okay.
Straka's at 80-1, I believe. Henley's around 45. I think you can even find him at 55-1. 2 guys with both the long-term form and the recent form. Obviously, Henley won at Bay Hill. Big event. That was a huge confidence booster for him. He's got some solid recent history at Augusta. I believe he tied for 4th in 2023. Straka tied for 16th here last year. That's his best finish at the Masters, but had played really well in the majors the year before. He already has a win in 2025. I love those 2 as kind of mid-tier long shots. I'm on Bryson DeChambeau. Not a ton of great stats on the LIV Tour that we can kind of point to. It's just a gut feeling for me. I've said this since last year. I think he's going to win here. He finally seemed to crack the code. A couple of years ago, he said it was a par 67 for him, and then he got humbled by the golf course very quickly. I think he's learned from that. Someone asked him today, what's the one hole that gives you the most problems out here? And Bryson said, they all give me problems. So it's clearly humbled him, this golf course, this tournament. He has more respect for it. And I think took the lead after 36 holes last year. He ended up tying for 6. He kind of figured something out. And obviously he showed us a little something last week at LIV Doral in Miami. So gut feeling for me on Bryson. So Bryson, Henley, Straka, and then I bet Will Zalatoris a couple weeks ago at a terrible number because I'm a moron. He's at a better number now, but I do still like him.
What number did you bet Willie Z?
I think I bet him at 35-1 on Saturday at the Players Championship when he was kind of making a little charge. Then he goes and makes an 8 on the 14th hole a few hours later, I believe. Now he's up to 55-1. But in terms of past history at Augusta, he's got plenty of it. And the approach game is always there for Will Zalatoris. He does not have a top 10 this year, unfortunately, but maybe it comes this week.
Yeah, 58-1 on Willie Z right at Circus Sportsbook right now. Chris Powers, Golf Digest with us. By the way, do you prefer to go by Chris or Christopher?
Oh, I'm good with either. I'd say Christopher just so my mom doesn't get...
What about Mr. Powers?
I love Mr. Powers.
How much different would it sound if Michael Jordan wanted to go by Mike? It was called him Mike Jordan.
Yeah, right? You just wanted to be like Mike, right? That was the phrase.
But he never went by Mike Jordan. It was always Michael.
Good point. I'm going to go by Jonathan from now on.
We're going to go... You do go by Jonathan anyway, don't
in professional circles, but usually it's JVT.
Christopher Powers with us, Golf Digest. And let's talk about Scotty and Rory and Rahm, the guys at the top of the odds board. Do you like, if you had to pick one of those 3 favorites, or just how do you handicap those 3?
Yeah, I mean, Scotty's obviously showed some form recently here. That's pretty terrifying for the rest of the field and for those of us who, think we're getting value on certain guys further down the board and think they actually have a shot against him. I would take him out of those 3. Rory, to me, I know the storyline. It's the top storyline this week. Can he finish off the career Grand Slam? He's won the Players. He won at Pebble. It's kind of all lining up for him. That just would terrify me as a Rory bettor. Anytime it does line up for him, it's usually spells disaster. And then Rahm, I don't know. It's just he hasn't really done a ton on the LIV Tour, particularly this year. Of course, I'm betting Bryson DeChambeau, so that kind of pokes a hole in that argument. But he's scared. Obviously, the odds makers are respecting him. He's 16-1 here. Quite the jump from Rory, so you could make an argument that there's some value on him. But I don't know. I haven't seen enough. I thought I saw a little more from Bryson last week than I did from Rahm.
How about Colin Morikawa, a player I like this week? And when I say I like Morikawa, I usually regret it when I bet him. Do you like him this week or not?
I do. I know a lot of people do. I'm not personally betting him, but I mentioned before, approach is such a big deal here. He is the best iron player in the world when it's clicking for him. Obviously had a great showing here last year, was in the final group with Scotty Scheffler, has shown a ton of great form this year. And we know he can win majors. He's won 2 of them already. So I wouldn't discourage a Colin Morikawa bet this week.
And outside of that, any golfers that you're looking to actively fade?
Yeah, last time I was on the show, I don't think you guys were on the show, but I said to fade Rory McIlroy at the Players, so this conversation scares me. But I don't understand the infatuation everybody has with Justin Thomas right now. I know he's got a couple good finishes this year, but it seems to me he hasn't put 4 consecutive rounds together, and you have to do that this week. You can't have the odd 75, 76 that drops you down the leaderboard. And his 2 recent finishes, his really strong ones, I think at Valspar, he finished runner-up, and the week before that, he gained a ton of strokes with his putter, which we know you can regress to the mean very quickly with the putter. That's a very fickle golf club. So I'm not seeing this whole Justin Thomas love that everyone else seems to be seeing. So if you can find a matchup to fade him in, I would.
Chris Powers with us here, going over everything at the Masters as we look ahead to what's going to happen at Augusta. Any long shots that are worth looking at here?
Yeah, I mean, I know I mentioned Straka already. He's 80-1. That's probably as far down the board as I would go. It's, this tournament, it's like there's 15 guys who can win it. I happen to think Straka is one of them, and he happens to be 80-1. A guy I did bet last week, also because he showed a little form, was Patrick Reed, and then he completely faded on the weekend in Miami. So maybe I would give Patrick Reed a shout too, because he's triple digits. He's won here before. He's been very strong in majors in his career, but I wouldn't go too far past that 80-1 range this week.
Okay, Chris, by the way, follow at Golf Digest. A lot of great content up there, and you're going to get a lot more this week on the Masters. Max Homa here at Circa is about 200-1. Zach Johnson's 525-1. But in a head-to-head matchup, Johnson is favored over Homa. Do you understand why, and who would you bet in that head-to-head matchup?
Believe it or not, I would bet Zach Johnson. Actually, they have data this week where you can see every number possible for the practice shots on the range this week. And I actually just came across a tweet that showed that Max Homa hit the most practice shots of any player today on the range. That would tell me that he is still searching for something. So I think he'll pretty violently miss the cut. Apparently his caddy dumped him, and his caddy is on Justin Thomas's bag this week, Joe Griner. So kind of weird stuff happening with him off the course, really bad stuff happening with him on the course. Zach Johnson, say what you want about him. He's a little old. I think he'll give you 2 good rounds at least and possibly make the cut. He knows this golf course pretty well, so I understand why he's favored there, and I would lean with Zach.
Yeah, I do too, and that's it's odd when you look at the odds on those players. All right, Chris, when we get to Sunday, is Scotty Scheffler going to be on the top 3 on the leaderboard?
Yes, I would say 100%.
Wow, 100%. That's strong.
All right, Chris, before we get you out of here, last 45 seconds, Ryan Hyatt, one of our great listeners, checks in and says, you can do one but not both. You can play 1 round of golf at the Masters but never return, or you can not play that round but have a lifetime pass for the tournament. Which do you choose?
Oh, man, I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but I would take the playing it and never return. Look, I was out there today. There's a lot of people at Augusta National. It's tough to see. We don't get the inside the ropes passes here as media members. The merch line is pretty crazy. It seems like it's got some Disney World vibes going these last few years I've been there. So I would say play it and never return, and happily watch it on my couch the rest of my life.
Well, you're lucky because you played it and you get to return. You played it 2 years ago and shot a 90 when you won the media lottery, and you still get to return. So sorry, Ryan Hyatt. He gets to do both.
All right. Yeah. Okay, Chris, we're up against it, but thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll come back and give you an update as LeBron hits a 3, a high-scoring affair in OKC.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Lakers back on top in a very fun game, 90-88 with 3:55 left to go in the third. And this is officially the, maybe this is not great for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But it is great, Matt. This in-game total is down to 254.5. So this thing did die down a little bit. Thunder with, 3.5 minutes left to go have scored just 10 points here in the third quarter. So Lakers. Lakers giving them some problems. Lakers have not done that well. Yeah. They've only scored 20, but still 30 total points in a game that had 86 in the first quarter. So that's going to really bring you down.
As you say that, SGA drives right down the middle of the lane, untouched for a layup.
Yep.
Defensive effort, not great there.
No, not at all. But still, total's dying. So under 259.5, the number that we've got. So hopefully we can get there. Again, 254.5 now. Your in-game total.
I think you read this, or you talked about this breaking news. Shams Charania, Memphis, tweeted this. Memphis rookie Jalen Wells is awake, alert, and moving his extremities after being taken off the court in a stretcher. Hard foul in Charlotte tonight. He does have a broken right wrist. And who knows when he's not going to be returning this season.
Yeah, hard. I showed you the clip.
That was a hard foul, and no retaliation really ticked you off that Ja Morant did not retaliate.
That's kind of what irritates me is Ja's the king of acting hard. That's your opportunity to show it, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
That's
he likes to pick on 15-year-old kids on playground games.
Right.
Yeah.
For those who forget that story, it was a pickup game. The kid, I think, either scored on him or did something, got into a shouting match with him, and ended up punching him allegedly. So there's that, but that's the time, isn't it? You're sure. Mr. Flash the Gun. You're all doing all the stuff. You're acting hard. Is not the time to finally act on said hardness when your rookie guard gets absolutely obliterated on a ridiculous foul, gets knocked out on the floor, and breaks his wrist? But instead, he's having a reasonable conversation with Miles Bridges standing over Jalen Wells. What are you doing?
Who's the new interim coach of the Grizzlies?
They cannot pronounce
After Taylor Jenkins was ousted? Obviously, this team's got some sort of a culture problem, right?
I would think so. I mean, that's very clear at this point right now. Tomas, I'm going to say Isialo, I believe is how you pronounce his last name.
Common spelling?
I-I-S-A-L-O.
Okay.
Yes, common spelling. So with that, speaking of internal issues, we're hearing from people in Denver with some off-the-record stuff that there is some ridiculous pissing matches that were going on behind the scenes between Calvin Booth and Michael Malone. I wanted to play this because we had mentioned this earlier. These were the comments from Malone after the Nuggets' latest loss. And this is what we were talking about in terms of Malone, can be a little prickly, and you can hear him in this clip call his team out on the carpet, deliver the message in a rough way. And there's times, I don't know about you, I think you would like this. I would like a leader like Michael Malone who is very plain with his demands.
Oh, no doubt about it.
I mean, just do what we ask you to do.
He's a no-nonsense guy.
Yeah, and we'll be fine. And I like that. I think some people enjoy that sort of tutelage, if you will, but some don't respond to that very well. And here was Malone after the loss, and ultimately this didn't lead to the firing, but you could see why this would, I guess, rub some people the wrong way.
And have some pride. I didn't think we played with any pride tonight.
I feel like they took that.
I really care. It's not my job to evaluate how they take things. My job is to be honest, and sometimes brutally honest. And tonight, it was a brutally honest message. And the guys that are full of shit won't hear it. They'll say coach is tripping. And the guys that maybe do really care will, because they're not going to go back and watch their minutes, because nobody watches their minutes. Nobody watches film. So we'll have to show them the film. And I said, if somebody disagrees with me, please speak up. And nobody said a word. So, again, I'm not really concerned with how they took that message. My thing is being honest with how we just played. And the same thing that's been bothering us of late that I talked about pregame, the turnovers, the rebounding, was even worse tonight. And I didn't think it could get any worse, but it did.
Nuggets have lost 4 in a row. Coach fired. Who do you put the blame on here?
I think a lot of it has to do with the front office. The roster stinks. And
is that the same front office that drafted the Joker, though, right?
I mean, it's a front office that's had a lot of success. But at the same time, they took an NBA Finals team and just let it kind of rot away at the periphery and didn't really gain anybody else to fill a bench that was definitely getting thinner and worse. And we're banking on the fact that their draft picks, and this sounds like a bit of ego, my draft picks, that they're going to work. They're going to pan out. We're going to use these guys. We're not going to go sign guys. You're going to cry poor when you're talking about the second apron and what that means for retaining guys like a Contavious Caldwell-Pope or others. And I again find it hard to put the blame on a guy like Malone, who is one of the better coaches in the NBA. What?
I was watching Luka throw an over-the-head pass, had zero chance of finding a teammate, and was batted out of bounds. That was brutal.
So
let me ask you this: should ownership be held accountable, or are they sending the message, "Hey, you can't spend. We're not going to pay that"?
Of course they are. That's exactly what they're doing. They were clear about
so
that
when you
with the
said
KCP
front office,
thing.
I thought you were talking about the GM
I always
or
include
whoever.
ownership in that, but you're right. Like I should say ownership and the dictate from above. Booth wasn't a very good, I think, GM either, and it kind of hit on or missed on some of these draft picks. But I will say, I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but Harlebal Vulgaris did a very good job, I thought, in kind of putting this together. There's a couple of things that he tweeted out. First off, Nuggets were purchased in 2000 for $200 million in a deal that included the Colorado Avalanche and the Pepsi Center.
Oh, man.
What a deal, right?
A deal.
The Nuggets alone are now worth around $3 billion. But please tell me more about the luxury tax situation, right? It's ridiculous. I also said that, in my opinion, and this is something I wholeheartedly agree with, and this is what is, I think, the most egregious thing. In my opinion, if you have a generational player fresh off an NBA championship and you're unwilling to pay the tax to win another, you should sell the team and get somebody who is willing to do it. You do. You owe it to Nikola Jokic. He has put forth a stretch of 6 years of basketball, which are some of the greatest basketball years we're ever going to see from an individual player.
All right, you're right about that. Has he been quoted on this?
I haven't seen anything. He's generally a pretty quiet guy. I've not seen anything from Jokic yet.
I mean, the face of the franchise he's got to have something to say about this.
I mean, he generally is a pretty quiet guy. Some are speculating that this would never happen without the okay from Jokic, which I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
Yeah.
I just think that Jokic is probably going to say, "Hey, you got to spend. We need more talent here."
You would think he leans on him behind the scenes a little bit.
Right, he's got to.
Yep. So, but like, for example, NBA front office insider Bobby Marks said that he, quotes, hope the Nuggets, or quote, the Nuggets ownership ran this by Jokic, that he hopes that's the case. So we don't know. Michael C. Wright reported that, quote, Jokic doesn't reveal much about his personal life, but it sure seems like loyalty is important to him. Ownership showed none with this latest move. Yeah, I didn't really get it, but I think Malone's the man. And I think if we're talking about the whole society thing, I think a lot of people more should gravitate towards somebody who would lead you in that direction. I'm a big fan of the no nonsense stuff. Stop beating around the bush. What's the problem? Let's do it. And let's try to get better here.
On the NBA, the way things are now, you can't let it slide, right? Michael Malone's not going to let things slide. He's taking guys to task for not watching film. Jackson Hayes had an impressive putback slam.
This game's awesome.
SGA missed a free throw, and here we are at the end of the third quarter. Lakers up 98-97. OKC had 37 points in the second quarter, 17 in the third.
26-17.
What the hell happened in the third quarter here? Lakers, by the way, 18 for 36 from three, so continued that hot shooting from Sunday.
Tell you what a big deal is in a game like this. In totality, let's see. I'm not great at math, but 4 plus 3 plus 4, I believe, is 11. Right?
What's that?
That's the total amount of bench points the Oklahoma City Thunder have at this point.
Okay.
Right now.
By the way, the live total down to 229. You played under what?
259.5.
Yeah, you got 30 points better of it. Feel good about that?
Is it down that low?
229.
Get out of here. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. We're live, baby.
Well, wait a minute.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, there's no way it's that low.
Oh, forgot to refresh the screen.
Okay.
I was looking at something else.
Who do you think you are, me?
I was going to say, what the hell? How about 251?
Okay, all right. I was like, wow, that really dipped.
Damn.
Okay, I don't feel as good anymore.
Better of it.
Yeah, okay, I don't feel that good anymore, but still feel pretty good. VSiN.com/subscribe. You'll feel good if you get in on this deal. Through August 1st, you will get everything we do up on the website for less than $60. That includes the daily best bets. That's the email that Bill sends, or you can go and check the picks page. There's exclusive betting splits data that you get from Circa and from DraftKings, if you like that as part of your betting repertoire. You get expert analysis and some great written articles from our crew that includes Adam Burke and Zach Cohen, who does a fantastic job. Our own Zach Lowe returned the other day, and the betting systems as well. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a great deal.
Ryan Butler wrote this. He tweeted this tonight for Covers. He's a Florida graduate, so he's a happy guy today. Ryan Butler tweets, Hawaii is on the verge of legalizing mobile sports betting after the state Senate passed an amended online sports betting bill. Legislative changes must be made and agreed to in the House, but Hawaii well on its way to becoming the 40th state with legal mobile sports books.